New
It
construction
is possibly
options.
the oldest racket,
Building.
easily the most profitable, surely the most
Construction
vicious.
complete.
The racket of
Building.
war is unmatched
Training.
in its international scope.
Unit ready.
Waiting order.
War
New
is a terrible
construction
business in
options.
which the profits are measured in
Building.
dollars,
New
while the
rally
losses
point
are measured in
established.
lives.
Construction
A racket is
complete.
best described as
Unit
something that is
ready.
not what it
I
seems
have
to
the
the
information.
majority
Yes,
of
Commander.
people. Only a small inside group knows what the racket is about.
Construction
The
moving.
war racket is conducted for the
Cannot
benefit
deploy.
of the very
Engineering,
few,
Commander.
at
New
the expense
construction
of the very
options.
many.
Location
Out of the
Building.
racket of war, a few people make huge fortunes,
New rally
while
point
millions
established.
die, and millions
Unit
more are
promoted.
physically maimed and emotionally
Garrison.
destroyed.
I have the information. I have
In World War I,
Engineering,
a
checking
mere
design.
handful
Tech building
garnered the
captured.
profits of the conflict.
Training.
World War I created
Unit
at least
ready.
21,000 new
Conscript
millionaires
order
and billionaires in the
Construction
United
complete.
States. That many admitted those huge
construction
blood
options.
gains on their income
Building.
tax
Waiting
returns,
order received.
or many admitted those huge gains on their income
Captured
tax
Garrison.
returns. That's how we knew that they had those
Cancelled.
21,000. But
Training.
probably many more war
Unit
millionaires
ready.
and billionaires simply falsified their tax
Unit
returns.
ready. On
How
hold.
many of these war millionaires
Cancelled.
shouldered a rifle?
Building.
How many of them
Construction
dug a
complete.
trench? How many of them knew what it
Repairing.
meant to go hungry in a
Unit
rat-infested dugout?
Structure sold.
How many of them spent sleepless,
Structure garrison.
frightened nights ducking shells and
Structure
shrapnel
garrison.
and machine gun bullets?
Building.
How many of them parried a
Unit
bayonet
ready.
thrust of an enemy?
Construction
How many of them were
complete.
wounded or killed in battle?
Construction
With
complete.
war, victorious
Building.
nations acquire additional
Unit
territory.
ready.
They just take it. And the newly acquired territory is then promptly exploited by the same elite few who wrung dollars
Unit
out of
ready.
blood in the war.
Training.
Meanwhile, the general public
Unit
pays the cost for war. And
Unit
what is the
ready.
cost of war?
Construction complete.
The cost is horrible. Mangled bodies, shattered
Our base
minds,
is under attack.
broken hearts,
Unit
and broken
lost.
homes.
Unit
Economic
ready.
instability
Repairing.
with all its attendant miseries, including back-breaking taxation for
Building.
generations and
Unit
generations.
On hold.
As a soldier, I had a
Castle.
suspicion for a
Building.
great many years that war was a racket.
Unit ready.
But not until I retired to civilian life did I fully understand.
Unit lost.
Now that I see the gathering of the clouds of international war
Unit lost.
for World War II, I must speak out against the war racket. With economic lust flooding their minds, with propaganda flooding their mouths, as war nears,
Building.
the lords of war corral and confuse their
Unit
constituents,
ready.
meanwhile choosing their war partners.
Ready, comrade.
Now speaking of World War II, it says, France and Russia met and agreed to stand side by side.
Unit
Italy and
ready.
Austria hurried to make a similar agreement. Poland and Germany cast sheep eyes at each other, setting aside for now their dispute over the
Building.
Polish corridor.
Unit ready.
The assassination of King Alexander of Yugoslavia complicated
Unit
matters.
ready.
Yugoslavia and Hungary, long bitter enemies, were almost at each other's throats.
Unit ready.
Italy was ready to jump in, but
Training.
France was waiting. So was Czechoslovakia.
Unit ready.
All of them are looking ahead to war.
Unit ready.
Not the people,
Construction
those who
complete.
fight and pay and die.
Building.
They're not looking forward to war. Rather, the happy few folk
Unit
that look
ready.
forward to fomenting
Construction
war
complete.
from a safe distance
Structure garrison.
for huge profits. There are 40 million military
Unit ready.
in the world today,
reporting.
and our statesmen
Unit
and
lost.
diplomats have the
Unit
audacity
ready.
to say that war is not in their plans.
Changing position. Moving.
In Italy, Premier Mussolini spoke the other day saying,
Unit ready.
above all, fascism, the more it considers and observes the future and the development of humanity, quite apart from political considerations of the movement,
Unit ready.
believes neither in the
Building.
possibility nor the utility of perpetual peace.
Moving.
War alone
Construction
brings up
complete.
to
Unit ready.
War alone brings up to its highest tension all human energy and puts the stamp of nobility upon the people who have the courage
Training.
to meet it.
Unit ready.
Undoubtedly, Mussolini means exactly what he says.
Unit
Italy's
ready.
well-trained army, its great fleet of planes, and its navy are ready
Unit
for war.
ready.
They are anxious.
Unit ready.
Mussolini recently recently stood at the side of Hungary in dispute against Yugoslavia, and that shows that Italy is ready and anxious for war. There are other
Ready.
countries in Europe who are ready and waiting for war. They
Unit
want war.
ready. Structure
Adolf
ready.
Hitler may match and surpass Mussolini
Unit lost.
as an enemy to
Construction
peace.
complete.
Hitler has rearmed Germany and now constantly
Unit
calls
lost.
for the production of more and more weapons.
Unit
Meanwhile,
ready.
France recently increased the
Unit
term of
lost.
military service for its youth
Unit promoted.
from a year to 18 months.
Unit
And
lost.
while the mad dogs of Europe
Unit ready.
are on the loose, the mad dogs of the Orient are maneuvering more carefully and cunningly. In 1904, when Russia and
Unit
Japan
ready.
fought against each other, our very generous international bankers were
Our
financing
base under
Japan.
attack.
So we backed Japan, betraying our old friends the Russians.
Unit
Now the trend is to poison us against the Japanese.
structure abandoned.
As to our policies towards China and the
Training.
Philippines,
Unit
our trade
ready.
with China is about $90 million a year. And we have
Unit ready.
spent
Unit
is about
lost.
$90 million a year, and we have spent about $600 million in the Philippines in 35 years
Structure abandoned.
of war. Yet our bankers and industrialists and speculators have private investments in the Philippines of less than $200 million. That $90 million and that $200 million are among the justifications for stirring up hatred and perhaps war against Japan. A war that might well cost tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of American lives,
Unit ready.
with the added cost of many more hundreds of thousands of physically maimed and mentally destroyed men.
Unit ready.
Of course, the compensation for this loss by the many would be the
Unit
gaining of a
ready.
great many fortunes for the few. Munition makers, bankers, shipbuilders, manufacturers, meat
Unit
packers,
ready.
speculators, these people would benefit greatly from war. Millions and billions of dollars would be piled
Unit
up.
lost.
Yes, there are those who are
Ready.
gladly getting ready
Unit
for another
lost.
war.
Unit
But
lost.
war, but war profits
Unit
nothing
lost.
for
Unit
the soldiers who are killed,
ready.
maimed,
Unit
or
lost.
psychologically ill. War profits nothing for the soldiers' mothers and sisters. War profits nothing for the soldiers' wives and sweethearts. War profits nothing
Unit
for the
lost.
soldiers' children. War profits no one except the very few, and for them the profits are huge.
Unit ready.
And war does not profit our nation.
Waiting order. Vehicle reporting.
That was
Changing
Smedley
position.
Butler,
Changing position.
Major General, United States Marine Corps, speaking
Unit
in
ready.
1933.
Unit lost.
Moving.
All miner under attack.
Moving.
Unit lost. All miner under attack.